My name is Shervin. I'm head of media at Cysic, and sorry I lost my voice in case I sound a little off today. But I guess we could start off with like introductions and what everyone's projects are.
Sure. So this is my second panel. I think I'll be brief because most people already heard me in the earlier panel. So my name is Ming Guo. I'm the chief scientist of ZKM. So I'm your host for this afternoon. We developed ZKVM called ZK MIPS, and based off ZK MIPS, we developed hybrid rollup and entangled rollup. And Metis is a spin-off of, ZKM is a spin-off of Metis Foundation. So that's me.
Hi, I'm Phil Kelly. I'm head of business development at O1 Labs. So O1 Labs is, I'd say, OGs, maybe the OGs in the ZK space. We've been around for about 7 years. We built the Mina protocol, which was launched 3 years ago as the first recursive ZK-based L1, succinct ZK-based L1. And then you may think Mina's been really quiet since then, and it was launched and then nothing happened, but the reason for that is because we launched it without a ZK smart contract layer, which is, in a way, the difficult bit, and we've been working on that for 3 years, and it's a hell of a lot of work. So, but we're finally done. That launched a month ago, so now it's a generally programmable ZK smart contract chain. I can talk more about the background of that, but we also at O1 have been building the SDK that allows people to build off-chain ZK applications, and then that kind of pairs up with the chain. So you build stuff off-chain, and then you can verify stuff on a ZK chain. I'll say more about that later.
Hey everyone, my name is Gnana, and I'm a DevRel with the Starknet Foundation. Starknet is a layer 2 validity rollup based on the principle of ZK stars, and our main aim is to scale Ethereum, and my role at the Starknet Foundation is basically teaching people how to code on Cairo, which is our principal programming language, and our virtual machine, which is a ZK VM, is called the Cairo VM. And I help builders build on Starknet projects, wanting to get into Starknet, and everything in that umbrella. So education, a bit of ecosystem, and then just maintaining relationship with builders. I have 2 builders from our ecosystem here as well. Super tired after attending our hackathons, but still were able to make it to the event. And happy to chat more about what we do and how Cairo VM is an interesting concept to think about from a provable programming perspective.
Hello, I'm Zack. I'm an engineer at Aleo. And at Aleo we're building a private programmable layer 1 blockchain. I'll keep it short.
Got it, perfect. I guess to start off with the first question here towards you, Zack. I guess why did Aleo decide to build a privacy-centric ZK-L1?
Yeah, I guess at the start they saw an issue with there wasn't privacy, programmable privacy, and there was only Zcash and Monero and some you could do private transfers of money, but you couldn't program privacy into smart contracts. So that's why they built that. And also I think there was an angle that if you push more computation off-chain, you're going to get better scalability. And I think those were the intentions.
Got it. So question for you, Phil. So Mina has proof of everything. Would love it if you could explain more about that and what it is.
Yeah. In my introduction, I think I explained similar also to Zack's construct. We have a ZK recursive L1, and then a lot of things that we want people to do happen off-chain and are built with the ZK SDK there. And the idea of the L1 there, so build stuff off-chain, run it off-chain, but prove on-chain that the execution happened correctly. The idea of the L1 there is to be an efficient place to verify the proofs, because and we built an L1, by the way, because EVM is an amazing amazing chain, and that's where I started my Web3 journey. But it wasn't built for ZK, and you can kind of see that from some of the narrative in Vitalik's roadmap conversations. I mean, ZK has been recognized as the endpoint and the journey ZK everything for Ethereum, but it's not, certainly as it currently is, it's not the right starting point. It's going to take a very long time to get there. And because ZK is such a specialized technology, we think you need a specialized chain, and Aleo and Aztec and others do as well. The goal of the chain, therefore, is to be a good place to verify things, is to be a chain that you can run super lightweight, so you'll be able to, you can set a node up really quickly. You don't have to prove the state transition from the last block, whereas if you're setting an Ethereum node, it can take days and masses of hardware. And you will be able to run a node on your phone or any consumer hardware. So that means that you don't have to use an RPC. You want to create a transaction, send it to the chain. You can get full privacy by submitting the transaction via your phone or a consumer device. So there's a privacy angle and lightness. And then the third thing is, as an L1 that recursively proves state changes, you can prove something like, you want to take a authentication of media example. So, I've got a photograph and I've proved with a ZK program off chain that all I've done is crop it, I haven't changed the image. So, I want to explain to people, or prove to people it's not a deep fake. I can verify that proof once on chain today, and then a week later, if somebody says to me, okay, how do I know you haven't, deep faked this photograph? Because the verification persists on chain and is accessible, I can just say, look, here's the photograph, here's the proof, and you can see on chain that it's already been proven and verified. So that's why we're talking about proof of everything, because number one, you can prove anything that you can write in the ZK app, and number two, the proof persists, so it can be like a kind of register or reference database to prove that things around you in the world are correct. So you could have images in a journal that get reproduced, and people who look at them will be able to go back and see, yep, that's proven to be what it purports to be. And it could end up being a little bit like the green padlock that people got on the internet once security was introduced. You could have an integrity padlock for proof of everything.
So a question for you, Gnana, from Starknet. So why did you guys decide to build a layer 2 instead of a layer 1?
Yeah, so I think most of us know that Ethereum has one of the biggest developer ecosystems, and just in terms of the number of builders, the amount of tooling, and just the popularity of the chain. So one of the main problems that we thought ZK stacks themselves could solve is provide scalability to the existing Ethereum ecosystem. We know that it can get quite congested, and sometimes you'll have to pay a lot of gas fee, which is all of the money that comes out of your pocket, even just perform a simple transaction. So I think one of the biggest powers of ZK stacks as proof systems is to be able to scale Ethereum by bringing the proof on Starknet and then being able to settle that to Ethereum. So I think the road towards the choice to create an L2 is quite, it's probably one of the best ways to go about it. And I think the second thing is also L2s can solve a lot of problem inherently that Ethereum potentially could not. So think about native account abstraction, right? The UI UX problem that we see that people face while building on Ethereum could be, if it can be potentially solved by an L2, then that's a win-win for the ecosystem. And then also, you can enable applications on Starknet, enable people to build applications on Starknet that just seem like any other Web2 application. So that's why we chose the route of L2, but mostly also because a lot of core team from Starknet believe that Ethereum is here to stay, and that's.
Yeah, I guess a general question for everyone on this panel. In you guys' opinion, what do you guys think it takes for ZK to reach mass adoption?
You actually going for problems that people have and solving it using ZK. It's just a tool, So you have to look, see what problems they're facing, and if ZK is the tool to solve that, and there are a lot of people having that problem, then it will reach the mass.
Yeah, I think. ZK we're a little bit different than my co-panelists here. that they're like layer 2, and they're layer 1, and we're layer 2. We don't do layer 1. But I think in today's interconnected world, we have many L1s. They all have their ecosystem and liquidity. So for DApp, we don't want them just to choose, right? They still choose, right? But it's better that they can do cross-chain app. And in order to do that, they can help. So we develop cross-chain rollups and based off the power of ZKVM. So you can have native assets cross-chain, which is more secure than traditional bridges. Even bridges actually directly built by ZK on layer 1. So this new power of ZKVM is a great thing for the next generation of the app developers. It's not being realized that much. Most people still think ZK is like specialized for certain apps, but with the power of ZKVM, it's implemented at the lowest level, so developers don't really need to care too much of ZK. Like borrow like a slogan I mentioned earlier, build programs, not circuits.
Yeah, I think double clicking on that, I feel like just because the word ZK, the expansion leads to zero knowledge, people automatically presume that anything that is built using the concepts of ZK is for privacy preserving applications. However, you can use zero knowledge proofs in multiple formats, especially if you think about it in the Web3 space. You can use them to build a rollup that will aggregate your transactions, create a proof, so you can have, you can create scalability. Or you could use that, you could create a proof, verify it, and create privacy preserving applications as well. I think in order to build those privacy preserving applications, we need really good infrastructure. And I personally don't feel like we are there yet. There is a lot of stuff happening in optimization of provers, optimization of verifiers, but it's still very, very slow. And anything that is computationally slow, we cannot, expect masses to adopt it. People are used to watching 2-minute TikTok, Instagram reels today. That's their retention time. And if you're expecting them to compute 1 + 1 = 2, and if it takes 5 minutes, like that's not at all scalable, right? So
I disagree. That is not there.
I think so. Like I haven't seen any applications that people are using, especially in the privacy preserving field.
Yeah, because when the panelist here asks how we reach the masses, we're talking about infrastructure and the proofs, and when it's really about finding problems that people have, like going, for example, for if we're speaking about privacy applications to protect user data, you want to go for solving identity theft and finding what's the market for that, how to approach it, or who actually wants private payments and what's the market there. I feel if we stay stuck in the how do we do cross-chain bridges or interoperability or a lot of this, we're not going to reach the masses.
I agree. My point is that I think everyone's thinking about ZK only in the privacy context, but that's not true. That's what I want to say. That it can also be used in the scalability context, which is where you will find a lot more use cases that people want to scale. Everyone wants to build scalable products, right? Everyone wants to build products that like 1 billion people can use. And that's where I think ZK is already there. Like there are already layer 1s and layer 2s that are building for the scalability problem. So there's right-away solutions that exist, but because of this overarching word of like ZK, zero knowledge, everyone's like, at least the general public thinks about it more from a privacy context. And I think that's something that when we talk about it in panels is when people also know that, this L1 or L2 is also using ZK based stacks for scalability. And I think the more people know about that, the more people will be less hesitant to explore the technology in itself. And as they start exploring the technology, then they realize where the technology fits in their use case. Is it for a scalability use case or for a privacy use case? So I think the more people are aware that scalability is also one of the great use cases for ZK proofs, I'm sure we will slowly gain bring more products that can be scalable.
I was going to jump in a second. So first of all, I agree. It actually sort of drives me nuts sometimes that people either conflate ZK or equate it automatically with scalable infrastructure, so like Elder rollups and bridges and light clients, or they say it's privacy, and so really what scalability is the infrastructure layer. Application layer has privacy as a great use case, but it's certainly not the only great use case. I think it's probably the most intuitive one. But in general, what it gives you is tamper-proof computing, and it doesn't even need to be related to a blockchain. And there are some national governments that are using application layer ZK in voting already. It's some very low-level use of ZK. I think Estonia is using it in a bigger way. They're actually proving the integrity of the whole vote of the whole tally of a vote. So yeah, it's not all privacy, and it's just harder to articulate what the general computational integrity use cases are, because there are more of them and they're more diffuse. But tallying a vote for an election without everybody having to go through every line and say, yeah, they added it up right. That example I gave about integrity of media, where you've edited a picture and you've just cropped a third of the picture and you haven't changed it. I mean, there's no real privacy in that. You just don't need people to be looking over your shoulder as you do it. Another use case that we've talked to people about is creating oracles. So right now, even if you have like a spot oracle, you have a calculation where you might take 100 data points and build a volume-based average price and like publish the volume-based average price. That's all on chain at the moment. You can take it off chain and do that calculation in a ZK app and prove the outcome's correct. And there's no privacy, again, it's all like public data, but when you publish the result, you can publish a proof and people don't have to check it, they can rely on it and trade on it immediately. So yeah, it is true that there's like a bunch of great use cases that are not private to the application layer.
Yeah, I think the history of blockchain is that we go from like a very specialized blockchain to more generalized, more flexible ones. I remember because I did privacy preserving transaction kind of blockchain before layer 1. That was like prior to ZKM and Metis. At that time, there was this didn't mention it, is besides like Zcash and Monero, there's also like green based off a protocol called Lumbo. Yeah, so you don't need like a lot of compute power, but it's also very limited. That's very low programmability. So you can't really just do that. And nowadays we have smart contract. We want to be able to offload computation, so you don't have a scalability problem, right? So that's the whole roll-up thing is about. You also want privacy, which can be like a sub build of zero knowledge proof. For example, we all know it's called zero knowledge proof, but in the blockchain field, it's more like not on the zero knowledge part, but the succinct part. So it's like succinct proof of knowledge. It's not zero knowledge. But you can with like a computation off-chain, you can private input, and then you have some private privacy and confidentialities there. So yeah, flexibility.
Can I go back to that question about what will it take for mass adoption? What will it take for mass adoption? And there is this, I'd say, I can't agree with Zack somewhat. It's kind of like a semi-myth that ZK is incredibly hard to program with, and it has been true, but it's becoming way less true. And things have changed enormously in the last couple of years. So with our SDK, you can build with TypeScript libraries. They're not TypeScript-like, they're real TypeScript libraries, so you can use TypeScript tooling. There's no trusted setup. We've had people build ZK applications with circuits that come out of that, POC level, so only POC level, maybe like 30 hours. So you can program it, and performance also. I mean, you can run a ZK app in the browser with our stuff. It's got to be limited size. But performance is also increasing, all the time. Hardware acceleration is probably going to 100x performance. Like Jordi Bailey was talking about that the other day on stage about 2 days ago. So, you can build. That's part of the problem that people don't realize they can build. You've got to think of new ways to use it, because there's almost no point in replicating a ZK app in the way that you built a Ethereum app. because then you're missing, all the cool things you can do with off-chain verifiable computation. So we need people to get more imaginative about use cases. They need to be able to realize they can build it, get more imaginative with use cases, and then, with users, there's still, there are performance issues, and you need to kind of educate users as to what it means at the ZK level and get them interested in it and understand they can have privacy preservation and they can do cool new things.
I just want to say a private transfer on Aleo takes 10 seconds, 20 seconds to do, so it's not that bad to do. Then maybe the whole thing to confirm on chain, to finalize, maybe 25 seconds, 35 seconds, maybe some more. I want to ask Phil, what applications are being built on Mina right now, in general?
It's been live for a month, finally. And we've got, for example, a private voting and social polling app that's live. It's built by a company called Punkpoll, which is a spin-off of a really big social media company in Korea, Kakao. So that's interesting. I kind of like. You can see that there could be a ton more social polling and surveys. There's kind of a fun thing to do. You can sort of make it competitive and predictive. So that's one of the first ones gone live. We've got somebody that's launched a game, Tileville, that's live. We just got somebody who's launched an NFT collection and minting engine. I'm trying to get you can do some really cool things with NFTs because you could, for example, have an NFT that represents something about you and something about your personal data without revealing the data. So, it's an example of how people need to think of interesting and useful and fun new things to do with off-chain verifiable computation. And then a bunch of other stuff. I think people are building privacy-preserving payment applications.
Do you have any bridges from other networks to Mina?
We've got it. So the other cool thing about ZK is that you can bridge a state root in a different way, trustlessly from a token economics based bridge. We've been working on a bridge direct to Ethereum, and we just announced, Aligned Layer just announced that they're going to take that and then use EigenLayer to greatly reduce the cost of proving something to then spit it out onto Ethereum mainnet. So yeah, we've got one pending, and that one I'm guessing will be kind of pretty easy to cut and paste. The reason it's taken a while, there's a great example of what I was saying at the start, so why we built something not with Ethereum, because we've got these great ZK proofs and stuff, and you can prove the state root of Ethereum really easily, and then it hits Ethereum, and it's just really expensive in terms of gas, because Ethereum doesn't like ZK terribly, and so then we have to do this proving and rewrapping work to make it Ethereum kind of friendly proof.
Games are actually a really cool way to stress test your chain, because the more people are playing your games, then you kind of really know where are things breaking, what's the user experience like, do people actually like doing this on-chain, or are you able to successfully abstract the entire on-chain part and just bring the gaming focus. So it's pretty cool. I have played Tileville. It's really good, and I know the developer who built it, so it's pretty cool. And we featured it as well at one of my other community events. But I think this is the whole thing, right? I feel like with this, going back to the mass adoption thing, I think Web3 applications should feel like they are just another application. And with Starknet, I feel like with us, we don't have a specific focus narrative, but gaming is really picking up. These guys built a game in the last couple of days at our hacker house, and we have a lot of other games that we are demoing now, where we wanted to feel like you're just coming and playing a game without having to figure out whether you have to create a wallet, you have to, sign. I think recently there was this thing going on Twitter where for every action that you take in the game, you have to sign a MetaMask signature. Things like this very fun and become very viral quickly. All the bad things in Web3, but I think just bringing that experience to people, right? So from a builder perspective, it's really more about how do you build efficient tooling, how do you build stuff that can be easy for people to build on. For example, TypeScript SDK is much easier than actually writing maybe a new programming language or learning a new programming language, or even if there is a new programming language, which is what is there actually for us, right? It's a new programming language, just creating constructs to make it easy for people to get onboarded. And then once we onboard like builders, then they build good applications, and they are constantly thinking about users, thinking about this being a business, a product that people would just like to use for its functionality rather than it being like a flashy Web3 thing. And I think that mentality, that change in mindset is going to bring like actual mass adoption.
So I guess to close off the panel for each of you guys, what are some most exciting roadmap items that you guys are looking forward to achieve at your project?
What are we excited about, you said?
Like future roadmap items that you guys are looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to mainnet in 1 month, so mid-August we'll be going live. I believe it will be the first time you can hold, like there will be a bridge and you can bridge USDC and you can hold USDC and privately and pay in USDC privately. So I think that's the first time you'll be able to do that.
Pretty cool. Yeah, with Starknet, at our Starknet CC conference yesterday, we just announced restaking, so that's pretty cool. We also have a lot of technical improvements coming in terms of like parallelization and stuff like that. From an ecosystem side, we are really looking forward to onboarding a lot of cool builders just across the globe. There are some regions where we have seen like exponential growth. I think LATAM, India, some of these unexplored regions from a Web3 context. So just getting more builders from there, getting them to actually think about building businesses and stuff. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming up for the upcoming year. And then DevCon, of course, we're going to have a bunch of activations at DevCon. So yeah.
I'm going to think so. We, like I said, we had our mainnet big upgrade a month ago, so you can now build on it using TypeScript. So, really big focus for us is getting people building, and we're not starting from from scratch because people have been building on testnet and just working out their ideas. So it's really just getting some more really cool applications over the line and working and available. So that's first priority. We have more work to do. We're live, we're functional, so we're living the dream there. But we've got backlog of things that we want to do to make the experience even better. So that's important. And then the bridge is cool. And we don't mean for Mina to be an island, so you can potentially use it as a ZK layer and then throw things back onto Ethereum and augment things that are happening there and in other chains. So that's interesting to look at as well.
So at ZKM, we released our Alpha testnet ZK back in February 2024. Recently, we reached maturity of beta. Testnet is sort of already reaching the soda status of the ZK So ZK VMs is actually pretty fast now. We're a similar level of fellow ZK or even faster because of the real CPU simulated ZK virtual machines. MIPS is the 70 was the most simplest but complete computer architecture. And also, I think to reach a mass adoption, bottleneck developers. And as I said earlier, ZK is hard, even with handholding, it's pretty hard. It's better not to let them worry about ZK. And that's why we want to do this a level down. You don't need to know anything. You just generate a proof of your any computation, any program, not a special program. So in that way, I think I agree with Steve Jobs. And you just say users or don't need what they know. You have to kind of lead them. So I think ZK is still the overhead is pretty heavy. For ZK VM, the order is, Justin Saylor said a year ago, it's about 10 to 6. It could be improved to, currently it's 3, order 3, maybe even half. With ZK hardware, it could be improved, and also with mass parallelization and folding schemes, all that could be, we could be looking at generating, proving a whole Ethereum block in tens of seconds. That could be reached. But before that, we need applications, like killer applications, because the market moves really fast. I think still the field should still be like financial applications. I would like to see a world of decentralized everything, but now let's still do decentralized finance. For that, you need like assets that's secure, but traditional bridging does not have that. So that's why with the power of ZK Proof and ZK VM, you can sort of build what we call a bridge to get native assets across.
Sounds good. It was great having you guys on the panel. I guess we can let the happy hour officially begin.
Thank you, Shervin. Thanks for moderating.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.